Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Afreen Khan, your host for the broadcast and head of operations at CIO News. This is our exclusive fireside chat powered by Avaya on transformation through customer experience. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website cionews.co.in and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. I'm very excited to invite my guest for today, and that is Mr. Gaurav Bhalotia, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Udaan. Gaurav has nearly 20 years of experience in architecting, implementing, and leading development of large scale distributed systems, machine learning, and information retrieval algorithms. He was a vice president of engineering at Flipkart, where he managed and bootstrapped multiple platforms and contributed to building a strong technology org out of India. He was director of engineering at Cosmix, which is now Walmart Labs, where he led multidisciplinary engineering and product teams to build a local engine and also created the first version of their categorization engine. Welcome, Gaurav.
Thanks, Afreen. Happy to be here.
Great to have you, Gaurav. Also, along with me, I have Bhavish Vora, who's a sales engineering leader at Avaya. Bhavish is a dynamic and result oriented professional with progressive leadership experience in enterprise telecom and IT industry. 20 plus years of working experience in various roles. Started career as service engineer with Tata Telecom Limited, which is a leading communication equipment solutions provider. Welcome, Bhavish.
Thank you, Afreen. Glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Great. So, let's just begin. And, Gaurav, I would like to first begin with asking you. We know for a fact that, anything and everything today is now revolving around cloud. And we know that the growth in technology has been significant in the last couple of years. So, with the current growth in technology, how important is it to migrate to the cloud? And what factors do you consider while migrating to cloud?
If you see Udaan, right, we are like digital native. Cloud was the first choice, right? So our architecture was cloud first, right? So reflecting on the question, migrating, right? So I think we have crossed that journey, right? So we started with cloud, right? There were some aspects of, like, for example, our finance stack, right, which was not on the cloud, right? We have worked on migrating it also. Considerations, right? So few, right, for our business, right? If you see, Udaan is servicing its customers pan India, right? So 1,200 cities, 12,000 pin codes, right? So first and foremost, functionally, right, I want to be present, right, wherever my users are. So cloud gives me that reach, right, reach and coverage across different cities, geographies, right? Second, I think a big one, right? As if you see, right, Udaan is in a space, right, and there are many startups, many companies, right, facing similar challenges, where we are iterating and exploring towards the right solution, right, which works for the audiences, for the businesses we are serving, right? Which means even today, right, even at Udaan scale, we continue to iterate, right, significantly. We keep iterating, exploring, and keep unlocking the value which technology and product should bring, right? So which means I do face situations where there will be POCs, right? We'll pick up markets, micro markets which they are deployed, right? And then as things work, I iterate and then I scale it out, right? So cloud gives me that flexibility. Second consideration, right? How quickly can I whip up an instance? How quickly I can scale up, add more capacities, right? So while my business and the offering and promise are around durability and predictability, it's built on top of these changes, right, which happen, right? Markets you open up, capacities you add, commodity markets you respond to, right? So cloud gives you that flexibility. Third, like, of course, right, very obvious, right? Cloud allows businesses to focus and concentrate on what matters to them, right? Focus on the core aspects of technology and product, right? Than worry about, right, things like high availability, right? Than worry about great performance, right? Like optimal load times, right? Response times, wherever you are in the country, right? Be able to plug into the right ISPs, right? So we know that our users are coming from Airtel and Geo predominantly, right? So how can I ensure my servers are reachable, right, in the most optimal network path, right, to these guys, right? So just abstracting out a lot of these infrastructural nuances, right? Clouds can help you, right, allow us to focus on our core problems, right? So can I actually get the right great products to users, right? Can I bring them at the right prices, right? Can I deliver them, right, next day, right, across India, right? Uh, so focus, right, so again allows me to focus there. So for us, as we started, like I said, right, we were very sure, right, this is something which we have to do, right? We started with a small team, right? We've been able to build a large scale business, right? So lots of pieces of technology going in there, right? And cloud has been a pillar, right, on which this has been built. One additional consideration which has come in for us all businesses, right, in recent times, I think it is cost, right? As you scale, right, your costs can inflate, right? So you have to be very, very cognizant on, are you using your cloud services well, right? Especially PaaS, right? Are you using the right ones? Is it configured correctly for your use cases, right? So cost is becoming a consideration. I know a bunch of companies have, like, post COVID, post the macroeconomic changes, right? Last 2 years, significantly worked on optimizing the cloud configurations.
Yes. So, you mentioned a couple of points revolving around the scalability that the cloud platform offers. Then you have flexibility. Of course, the GTM, the go-to-market strategy is accelerated because it's a virtual platform, and there's less of the buying process, the procurement process. It kind of shortens, and hence your go-to-market strategy also accelerates. And of course, the cost effectiveness, Gaurav, that you spoke about, very, very important, considering that, in the last couple of years, particularly post COVID, everybody has been looking at optimizing the available resources in the best possible manner. So very rightly said. And, since we spoke about the digital piece of it also, over to you, Bhavish.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Gaurav. I think good insights. I just want to little bit before I ask my question. I want to understand a business context. So I think, as you rightly said, you are digital native. There are other large players also, and then I think you have traditional B2B players like Metro Cash and Carry. So, I mean, where do you find your fit, and in this whole ecosystem? We know the big brother Amazon business is there. I think there's India Mart and all. So, where do you find your niche, or do you have a unique set of customers, or everybody's competing with everybody? If you can just provide some insights to get the context for the Avaya folks and even the viewers of CIO News, and then I'll have my follow-up question on the digital part. Yeah,
No, so I think, see, this is
yeah,
a large space, like you are reflecting, right, Bhavesh, right? So bunch of customers, we are solving for Kirana stores, right, in India. And the vision is democratize commerce in India, right? So if you see, these stores are class A, B, C, D. This is how they are set up, right? Based on the size, the quality of products they carry, right? So if you, like, go for democratization, right, is definitely, like, the folks who are, like, smaller, don't have access to the best, I would say, network connections, right? Don't have a very, very significant counter size, right, to drive a certain leverage, right, on the supply side, right? These are the folks who clearly, like, straight away benefit, right, from democratization of the
Mhm.
commerce, right? So, like, to give you an example, right, if I am a big store, large store, I have a reasonably large counter, right? I can demand the right prices or better prices, right, from suppliers, right? But if I am a small store, right, there is a negotiation or an arbitrage which kicks in, right? I may not even be able to have relationship with the large distributor in my region. I may have to buy it from a wholesaler or a reseller, right? So, like, a platform like Udaan, right, democratizes it, creates a level playing field, right? We get you the best prices, so availability, selection, right, at the best prices, right, for your geography, right, depending on where things can be procured, right? And everybody can get it next day, right? So we are delivering across a bunch of these categories, across these 12,000 pin codes, right? Next day delivery is there, right? So what it does is, If I am a smaller store, I don't have a lot of say holding capacity in terms of inventory. I can still order on Udaan, right, and expect to get it the next day in my shop, right? So I don't need to hold a lot of inventory, right? So again, you can see how it levels that playing field, right? Over time, we have realized when we started with these folks, right, who did not have access, right, to these capabilities, right, which empower a retailer, right, make them succeed. There are other capabilities around decisioning, right? So what products to carry, right, when to order, reorder things, right? So Udaan as a platform also provides these capabilities, right, which help extract more value for a kirana store, right? So like we add value there over time, right? Because of the leverage you create, right? Around deliveries, around procuring, around selection, right? So even the larger stores benefit from us, right? So see, it's a continuum, right? Even for larger stores who are carrying like say 5,000 plus products, right? They might hold in inventory few hundreds or up to 1,000, right? But there is also a body and a long tail, right? Which Udaan starts becoming a great option, right? So in general, well, I don't think in the long run we are looking at the entire gamut of kirana stores, right? We can service them. We can create a much superior offering for all of the guys.
Thank you. So I'll just build on that. So, I mean, since you are digitally native, wanted to understand what is the role of digital channels? Obviously, I think buyers and sellers are interacting either on the portal or the mobile app or with the Udaan teams. I mean, do they interact directly also, or is it through Udaan, or are you services like contact centers, or it is purely digital only? If you can, build on that.
Yeah, yeah. So see, we are an omni-channel platform, right? So today we connect with our users across multiple channels. App or digital interface is the primary interface, or I would say preferred interface, right? Because whatever said and done, e-commerce, B2B commerce especially is a low margin business, right? So you want to ensure you have the right cost efficiencies, right? One. Second, we want to have channels which are always on, right? So buyer should be able to connect with Udaan, get to understand where their orders are, state of their account, state of their credit, right? Or even right, build a cart, right? Or put in an order, right? Whenever they want, right? So for example, there are kirana stores, right? So during the day they are extremely busy, right? We have instances of folks who go
Hmm.
back home, right? They've taken stock of what I've sold during the day, and at night after 10 o'clock they are coming back and saying, yeah, this is what I need to replenish, right, in the morning, right? So they can segregate it, right? During the day they are with their customers, right? At night 11 o'clock or so they are ordering, right? And depending on the category you can get it next day, right? In the morning you open your store, you get it next day, right, in your store. But at the same time, right, India is a very very diverse market, right? We continue to build the right technologies, right, for it to be the only channel, right, for the app to be the only channel. You do have folks on the street, right, you can interface with, interact with, right? So you call them market managers, right? We also communicate via like WhatsApp, right? Phone, like you asked, whether do we have a contact center, right? So phone is also an option, but not a very preferred option, right? So it is available for folks who are like stuck in a bad situation, right? There is an exception. They are not able to navigate their way out, right? So phone is available, but I think our market manager is a very powerful construct, right? So this is a person who is available to you as a relationship guy, right? Can help you resolve issues, right? Can help you onboard newer categories which Udaan offers, right? At some point of time, also help you in ordering, right? When needed, right? But we see a lot of our customers, right, navigate increasingly towards app, right? Because it's a very very low friction
Hmm.
platform channel to order. One thing we've solved in technology, right, Bhavesh, right, is all these channels, they sit on top of a core, let's say a journey or a user platform, right? So the entire context of the user, their orders, catalog available to them in their pin codes, the right pricing, right? Even offers which are available, promotions, coupons, deals, right? So all of it is available across the channel. It is powered by this common journey or the user service.
So, Gaurav, you spoke about platforms, you spoke about technologies, and of course, ultimately the different channels that you use to ultimately communicate with the key people, that is the customers. So, when we talk about customers, I think the next word that actually comes to our mind is experience, and
Mm.
hence the customer experience. So, when we talk about customer experience measurement, in your organization, how do you actually measure CX, and if you have any tips that you can share on how customer experience can be enhanced using technology?
Yeah, yeah. That's actually a very, very, very good question, right? I think it's a very important question for, especially for a platform, online platform like ours, right? So before I dive into how we measure, right? So one like comment I want to make, right, is customer experience is actually multifaceted, right? So every touch point, right, every aspect of the platform, right, and user's journey with you, right, is what impacts customer experience, right? So it is not just how do you respond when they call you, right? It's also, right, did they get the right prices, right? It's also when they wanted to buy a product, was it available on the platform, right? If Udaan promised next day delivery, did we actually happen to deliver it on time, right? When the Udaan delivery person reached there, right, how their behavior and conduct was, right? And of course, right, when they call, right, how did we respond back, right? So it is about the entire experience, right? The 360-degree experience Kirana store or a buyer, right, has on Udaan, right? So one good way to measure, Afrin, to your question, right, is retention on the platform, right? Because all of these factors affect, right? Am I getting a great experience on Udaan, right? I will continue to retain, right? Stay on the platform. Retention is one, and second, even more importantly, is what we call GMV growth, right? So are they increasingly buying on Udaan? They're adding their wallet share, right? Are we able to solve their core problems, right? So see, we want to reach a stage, right, where they can conduct their business on Udaan, right, and they don't need to worry about day-to-day decision making, right? So they don't need to bother about, am I getting the right prices today, right? So Udaan should offer them the right prices and create visibility into why these prices are better, right, than anywhere else in the market, right? Whenever you need, they should be able to find the product. We should be able to nudge them when it is time for them to restock, right? So they buy across categories, right? They have different stock cycles. So some of these problems we already solve, some of them we continue to work, right, to explore, iterate, and make our offering stronger, right? But it is, the goal should be to make them successful, right, on the platform or using Udaan, and these two metrics, right, retention and growth, right, are good indicators, right? So one of the things I would say, right, again, if you are looking at customer experience, right, be proactive about it. Identify what are these touch points, aspects, right, which impact customer experience, and be proactive about, okay, am I actually providing the right service, right experience every.
Yes, and you rightly mentioned it is about a proactive approach ultimately, because you will have to preempt the customer behavior. You take the data, you do the behavioral analysis, then you kind of preempt the next steps for every customer, every type of customer, category of customer. So on that note, I think Bhavish would definitely want to ask you something, because ultimately it's at the end of the day, you would need technology to kind of preempt it well also, with the kind of the scale of business and the number of people that you would be interacting with. So over to you, Bhavish.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. So I think the question which I want to ask Gaurav is this. I think you have tons of data, both the buyers, sellers, so many categories, so many stores. I mean, what are the kind of technologies you use specifically around AI, ML? Lot of new, you have the generative AI tools available now. Are you adopting those tools specifically, in providing a better experience? Do you promote certain kind of vendors, sellers more against others, scoring mechanism, and language? I'm sure, being a very diversified country, are you using, English as a primary mode of communication in the digital media, as you rightly said, or you're also promoting native languages to interact? So I kind of club two things in the same question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so let me first address the data aspect, right?
Mm.
So we actually, like you mentioned, right? So all these touch points with the user, right?
Mm.
Wherever technology is there, wherever there is a digital interface, there is valuable data available to us, right? what is the user interacting with, how are they responding to some nudges, right? What is working, what is not working, right? So we do have a lot of these touch points, data points, right? So we have a very powerful data platform, right? Data lake based data platform. So we use data in multiple ways. One, of course, is operational analytics, right? So a lot of our engine, right, operations run on data, right? From dashboards to control towers, right, to ensure that we can stay on top, right, of the operational nuances, right. We can continue to identify and address any interventions which are needed, right, on our operations to provide what I would say a five-star service experience, right, to all our users. So one is operational analytics. We use a lot of analytics to power insights, right, on like how our different offerings, products, models, schemes, promotions, how they are faring, right, for different cohorts of users, what changes, iterations we need to do, right. We continue experimenting. Even on our digital channels, on our apps, we deploy offerings, right, in a A/B format, right. So we deploy, observe, and then cascade and scale out, right. So for insights a lot, and we also do a lot of systemic intelligence, right, what I call systemic intelligence, where data flows into our algorithms, our systems, right. Various things. You did hint at recommendations, for example, right, what are the best products to buy. But the systemic intelligence can be from inventory planning, right, figuring out how, what to stock, what selection to, and how much inventory to keep. Pricing, right? So can I actually identify, get intelligence on competitive pricing, offline pricing, my source margins, and figure out the right price at which Udaan wants to operate. Discovery side recommendations, semantic matching, right? Correcting spellings, right? It's a lot of systemic intelligence goes in there, and of course that we are out in the wild web, I would say, right? So a lot of fraud and abuse and is powered by systemic intelligence. So to ensure that there is fair and reasonable and correct usage of the platform and offerings, right? There is no abuse, no fraudulent behavior. So we have very powerful engines, I would say, in place, right, to do that. So for all of these, Bhavesh, we use a bunch of machine learning techniques, right? A lot of AI deployed on our platforms. There is also AI, right, for like a customer call, right, on customer support, right? When calls come in, right, we are able to, of course, not just pull up the right context, right, of the user, right? What are the pending orders? Are there issues? Are there breaches we are doing, right? But we are also able to do a more predictive forecast of what essentially could be the reason why they are calling, right? So what should the agent actually address, right? And do a bunch of things like understand the tone, mood, understand the efficacy of our agent interventions, right? So net, if you see, right, all touch points, right, wherever we could, we deploy. To your question on generative AI, right? So I think we are exploring, right? So to be really honest, fair, we are exploring. So we are playing with that technology internally. A bunch of places where we have offerings, right? We are exploring what is the right way to deploy it internally, externally. But could be things like enhancing quality of our images for our catalog, right? So humanizing our interface with our customers, right? So generative AI allows us to, for example, put a bot behind support calls, right? Bots can take that, right? To what you were asking me on vernacular, right? I can look at like text to speech, speech to text. I can convert between different languages, right? I think on some of these, the current generative AI technologies are also evolving very fast, right? So uh, we explore, continue to wait for the right precision levels, right? For before these become like mainstream, some things which can be deployed. And there's one more consideration before you start using generative AI is how do you create the right transparency for the users, right? This particular conversation, right, you are having is actually with the bot, right? Not with the human, right? So, but I do see like sometime like later this year or early first quarter of next year, right? Companies will start deploying it in meaningful ways, right, including us, right? We just recently had a hackathon, right? There were like 5 ideas, right, where we spent like a 24-hour marathon session building out things which were real, right, are in a shape where they can be deployed, right? So we need to sort out some of these policy things also internally.
Thank you, Gaurav. I think there are good points. There are many, many more questions, but I think in the possibility of the time, Afrin, I'll hand it back to you. Maybe some closing comments from anybody before we
Sure.
go to the second part. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So, Gaurav, I think when you spoke about the generative AI piece, I think precision very, very important because ultimately it's about the output, how good the AI tool is, and how well it has been performing up to the expectations. And yes, of course, the ethical usage, because ultimately, your end customers are humans and they should be informed. Very, very true. So, thank you so much for your inputs. And with that, we come towards the end of our session. Any last words or probably any advice for our viewers, Gaurav?
Uh, yeah, so one thing on the customer experience, right? We were chatting about being proactive, right? So one thing I've observed, right, at Udaan in my journey, right? So you want to be extremely proactive, right? Give what I was saying, like first 5-star experience, right? Because I've seen ki once users get that like 3 or 4 times, right, they become loyal, right? So that loyalty is important, right? For any platform, you want to be able to proactively identify. So what I call at Udaan, we shoot for an escalation-free design, right? So if you can actually solve for that in the design, right, at design level, right, where you can avoid escalations. Of course, you want to build the right engine to handle escalations, right? But it's extremely important to be proactive and at design level build for not having these escalations in the first place, right? So that would be something I think I would say keep please focus on.
Great, something very interesting. A escalation-free design. I think something new, and yeah, we probably want to ponder more over that. Any last words from you, Bhavish, for our viewers?
No, Afrin, I think good, all good. I think good understanding because I think it's the first time I'm actually talking to a B2B. Most of my interaction, meetings, even from Avaya, has mainly been B2C. So in a large B2B kind of environment, I think good insights. Would definitely like to have a follow-up session on that. Yes. Thank you. All good from my side.
Great, great. So thank you so much, Gaurav. Thanks, Bhavish. It was a really, really nice session. Thank you.